What's up, everybody? Time for another album review with Jeremiah Williams. Unfortunately, Gabe is not here, but you know, what are you gonna do? We're gonna be doing another album review, so it's gonna be fantastic. All right, let's get into it. Wonderful, wonderful. The fifth studio album from the American rock band The Killers, from Nevada, California. Guys, and here's Gabe. By the way, Gabe just showed up. He's over there. I got a pizza in the oven too, so we're gonna be eating.
Don't burn the pizza this time.
I have it on a timer.
Okay.
Gosh. The Killers have been around for a long time and have changed their music style throughout. They've kind of done a lot of like more of a punk rock. They have more of a punk rock kind of genre during the early 2000s, and slowly have transitioned into like indie alternative rock. And this album here is probably a good example of probably one of their biggest indie rock albums. When they released it in September 22nd, 2017, I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. I didn't think it was good. Like the first time I heard it, I was like very different from their usual stuff, and I was kind of taken back on it, but then it surprised me, and the more I listened to it, the better it got. And it's probably one of my favorite albums now. This new record was it was recorded in like several different places. It was recorded in 11 Streets Records, Battleborn Studios, The Garage, Fantasy Sound. It had a lot of great producers on it. It was produced by Earl Akin. The Killers also helped produce it themselves. Jackknife Lee and Stuart Price, all of these guys also having very good records by themselves and have been very successful in their industries, in their respected industries. The singles that came out of this place, like The Man, Run for Cover, and Rut, I'll listen to those previously before the album came out, and I gotta say, at first, it was like didn't seem super fantastic. I didn't listen to The Man. I got like the first couple seconds. I'm like, very different from their usual stuff, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And I kind of just put them away after I listened to the first three. I was just like, all right, whatever. And then when the album came out, I gave these tracks a once over, and I realized, wow, these are actually really good. We're probably gonna just go through the first couple of my favorite tracks on the album, and then we'll see what happens. First of all, the first track on this album, Wonderful, Wonderful. Also, it's the name track for the album. Very fascinating. It's super introspective, a lot of deeper undertones to it that make it stand out from a lot of these different songs, also on the record. Some of these songs, like The Man, which is super like straight out of the 70s groove. It's like it's almost like a Bee Gees song. And but a lot of these songs also have a lot of deeper meanings, especially Wonderful, Wonderful kind of talks about life and how life has its hardships, but you get through them, and eventually you appreciate how life is, and that really is all really wonderful. The writer for this song was Brandon Flowers and Mark Stromer and Ronnie Vizirani Jr. and Lee and Errol Akin also helped produce it as well. Fantastic. They did a fantastic job on this one. All of these songs are very well produced. Unlike some of their previous work, this one was they left on a high note. Let's just say that, because this is rumored is going to be one of their last. This is going to be one of their last albums, and I think they ended it on a high note. And if they do come out with more records, I would still be really happy if they did. If they don't, they still ended it on a really high note. But Wonderful Wonderful, super introspective, super deep. It's definitely one of the best songs on this album, and it has done a good job to be the name for this album. Overall, with the total length of 43 minutes and the track listing, they kept the songs pretty decently long, unlike a lot of other records and other bands that have come out with records recently, like Fall Out Boy's Mania or Weezer's Pacific Daydream, have turned into this electronic thing. And a lot of although Weezer's Pacific Daydream has a record length that's a little longer, but Fall Out Boy's, it's only about 30 minutes. So there may or may not be a deluxe album coming out. Who you never know. Hopefully, we're very.
Because they're good.
It's a good album, and
It's a great album.
I recommend checking out the clean version though. I recommend checking it out. Great album. I also may do another album review of that one once I do some more research on it. But so far you guys voted for this one, so this is the one that we're gonna do. So next track we're gonna go into is The Man, and The Man, probably my favorite track. Although Wonderful Wonderful is a great track, it's probably the best track, but The Man is probably my favorite track on this album for a lot of reasons. And one of the main reasons is that it sounds like we just jumped right out of 1977. We jumped right out of a Bee Gees concert, and they threw this into this album. It's not unlike the other ones. The other ones are kind of they're not as happy and flashy as as much as The Man, but The Man definitely puts a really light boost to the album. It's just such a dance song. It's crazy. It's amazing. They had so many producers and writers on this one: Flower, Stromer, Vincini, Lee, Robert Bell, Ronald Bell, Don Bryce, George Brown, Robert Mickens, and Altha, and also produced by Lee and Errol Akin. They did amazing for this track, and it sounds amazing. It feels amazing. First time I listened to it, I didn't get past the first couple seconds. As soon as you get past that first and get right to the chorus, hits hard, and it hits amazing. It's definitely worth checking out. Probably the number one song I'd say for this. For personally, it's the number one song on this album. Although Wonderful Wonderful is also really good too. Rut is probably another favorite of mine, probably my second favorite song on the album. It's talks about that Flowers' wife, lead singer of the band, Brandon Flowers, his wife had struggled with depression in the past, and how this song is pretty much just a song about how of her climbing out of it and feeling happy and doing better and not having depression anymore. An amazing song. It's talks pretty much just goes into detail about the struggles of depression in general that some people have, but if you keep but when they keep coming back and keep thinking about life and keep coming back to it, they eventually will climb out. Great song, really good song, amazingly written. It's more of a chill song on the album, coming out from Man and then going to Rut. It's a little, but yes, definitely more of a chill song, but an amazing song nonetheless. Great song. Definitely would recommend it. Probably my other. So far, this is just gonna kind of be the format for when I do these album reviews or record reviews. I'm going to be giving kind of 3 tracks out of the album, or 3 of my favorite tracks. So it's doesn't take as long to make a video, and also so you actually go in and check the album out yourself, and you come up with something for the rest of the songs, and you enjoy the rest of the songs. I'm just gonna give you the first couple 3 or 4 of my favorites. So, but my third favorite song on the album has to be Tyson versus Douglas. Now this song kind of goes into how, as a boy, I think as a boy was watching the Tyson versus Douglas boxing match, and how Tyson was knocked out after him being pretty much a champion, a boxing champion for such a long time, and holding the title of champion for such a long time, and then Flowers having so much connection with his victory so far, and him kind of being a hero to him, and eventually he gets knocked out and loses, and Flowers kind of goes into like his emotional state and where he was at that moment when it was happening, and how it was just heartbreaking. But the song is amazing. It tells the story so well, and I think probably some of the best ways to tell a story is with a song, and this one did it so amazingly, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I would check that out as well. Run for Cover is also a really good song too. It's none of my favorites list, but all the songs like Run for Cover, Some Kind of Love, Out of My Mind, The Calling, and the songs that have been written have all the songs been written. Sorry, have all the songs been written. All amazing songs, and I definitely would recommend to check them out. Super fantastic. If I was going to give this album, not The Killing, I don't know. I would definitely give them probably an 8, 8.5, or an 8.5 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10, because the originality in the songs, the writing that was in these is all amazing. Each song tells its own story and has its own meaning to whoever is listening to them, and it's just an amazing album, and I recommend to check this out. They also have a deluxe version the deluxe and Japanese edition of other bonus tracks, and also have a few other bonus tracks for this album as well, for the deluxe edition. I still have to give that a listen, but if I do, I'll probably do like a track listing from the best tracks and the worst tracks of so far. Like I'll pick a couple of albums that I thought were the best tracks and the worst tracks of 2017, 2018 as a so far, or best to worst tracks of the month. I'll just compile a couple albums and I'll tell you guys about that. So thank you so much for enjoying this episode, and hopefully you check that out. So Wonderful Wonderful by The Killers. They also have probably the most amazing, beautiful, I was just listening to The Man, as you can see, one of the most beautiful album covers I've seen in a while. Just amazing. So check them out. I definitely recommend some of the other Killers albums. Also really amazing. Wonderful Wonderful, I think, was fantastic. Art piece was an art piece. It really was an art piece, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out because it's great. It's great. So also another thing for Tyson versus Douglas, it actually has a sample from the Mike Tyson versus James Douglas with commentary from the actual fight, which I thought was a great addition because it introduces it in the story as like if someone was watching it on TV, and I think that also it was out of the park kind of goodness. That's not even a word, but I definitely recommend checking it out. Check it out for yourself. Great album, and that concludes this album review. But I enjoy all of these songs. It's not like one of those albums where I'm like, oh, I only enjoy these ones. All of these songs on this album are amazing. So check it out yourself, and I will see you in the next album review. So this has been Jeremiah, and yeah, goodbye.